Who is it?
Fun isn't something one considers when balanced.
Infinity War, bitch!
Infinity War! Milestone! Bring it on.
Thanks for getting my ticket, John. As soon as YouTube fixes the yellow dollar bill sign, which should be any second now, I'll Venmo you. Oh, hey, Greg. Did I wake you?
Couldn't sleep.
It sucks that you can't come. You sure you can't buy another ticket?
No, man, the movie sold out for weeks. I'm gonna be the last one to see Infinity War.
No word from Andrew yet?
Last time I talked to him, he was picking up my ticket, but now nobody's heard from him for weeks.
I'm so sorry. That sucks, man.
You know, man, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Come here. Come here. You guys go enjoy the movie, and you guys let me know how it is, okay? No spoilers, though. Someone hack our computer?
Dude, Greg. I think you should go back to sleep.
I know that road. What is this?
Greg, no!
Did you know?
I didn't know it was him.
Don't bullshit me, Eilerman. Did you know he tore up my tickets?
You're more concerned with the ticket than the fact that he killed Andrew.
Just tell me, Kyle!
Yes.
Alright, fine, you can have my ticket.
Alright, no actual review, just a sketch. Thanks for watching. You guys can subscribe to the No, this is not. Real quick, before we go into our Infinity War review, which we just got back from seeing, literally like a half hour ago. We'll be completely spoiler free, don't want to give away any surprises, but wanted to say thank you to a few people who helped us out with that video. First off, Kyle Eilerman from the Fan Theory YouTube channel. You can watch his channel, does a lot of reactions over there as well. He helped us out with the VFX. He, of course, played Kyle in the Captain America outfit. I want to say thank you to Andrew Gordon for coming all the way over here to help us out with that. By the way, that segment where he had a tear was not a fake tear. Threw John and I both really for a loop. And of course, my lovely lady Olivia for helping us out with the video. She helped us out with holding the mic for pretty much every single shot, helped out with some camera angles and whatnot. So thank you, Olivia, my dear. And the main song featured in through most of that video, that comes from James Scherf. He has a song, The Hidden. Really appreciate getting to use that song. On to Infinity War, the most hyped movie of the year, and it's only April, people. How do you begin with talking about this movie? It's like over 2.5 hours. It's quite an epic adventure. It is it's huge, epic in scope. Does it have?
It is an epic. It does feel like an epic more so than just a blockbuster adventure.
And it is very immediate as well. This movie just throws you into it right away.
Here's the situation at hand, and oh shit, we're not prepared. We just got to start attacking it. You know,
the way the Russo brothers have talked about what they wanted to do with the film, they've pretty much executed it all around. Is it a perfect movie? No, it's not. But I like the ticking time bomb situation. You can feel this like ticking clock throughout the whole movie. And they also kept talking about how Thanos is essentially like the main character of this movie. He's the centerpiece. You think an Avengers movie, the villain, really? Thanos is probably the biggest takeaway I would have with this film.
He is the core of this movie in a number. I mean, not only is he the main villain, but he's also the emotional core of the movie. He is the most sort of surprising and most intriguing character because the rest of them we all already know or are working for Thanos.
Yeah. We know the personalities of all the Avengers that are featured in here. And it's not like there's a huge amount of evolution for a lot of these characters here.
No, the Avengers are a straight ensemble.
We want to watch this a second time. We already have tickets to watch it a second time. Then we're going to go into an in-depth spoiler review to really talk about it because there's plenty of spoilers to be had in this movie. There's a lot of surprises. There's a good amount of things that are pretty predictable. Things that I was kind of surprised by how some things were a little too predictable.
I feel like this movie lives and dies by its details, and the details are what surprised me a lot more than any plot turn or twist.
Yeah, and there's also some of the best action sequences that you'll ever see in any of these MCU films. Yeah. Hands down.
The visual and the production design elements are top-notch for the most part.
My favorite interactions, the most fun and exciting interactions were between Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Star-Lord specifically. Like those,
especially Tony playing off Strange.
That was the best interaction, I think. Yeah. Like the best dynamic interaction.
I feel like that worked where the Star-Lord won half-weighed.
There were times where I really liked Star-Lord. There are other times where I was like, yeah, I kind of don't really like the way that he's being handled here. You know, it was really back and forth with Star-Lord.
He's got that Chris Pratt curse for me now where I'm like, half the time I'm in and half the time I'm like, what's going on with you, dude?
Most people pretty much get equal focus in this film. Because there are times where you're like spending a lot of time with certain characters, you're like, you know, I haven't seen Tony Stark in quite a while, actually. I haven't seen Spider-Man in quite a while. Like, they had to balance it out, so it made sense that they made Thanos the centerpiece when you're dealing with an ensemble this huge. I will say, though, there were a couple of characters that I thought were evolved or had the best performance they've had in any of these Avengers films. Specifically Vision, and specifically Scarlet Witch. This is easily the coolest Scarlet Witch has ever been, and this is the most emotionally invested in Vision we've ever been as well. There's a lot of fight scenes in this movie. This movie is not shy of fight scenes. That's what you would want in this film, and there are some fight scenes that stand out to me more than other fight sequences. Without giving it away into specifics, there's that one scene in the trailer where you see like Spider-Man zipping around, there's like things flying in debris on some type of red planet. That whole sequence was easily my favorite fight scene in the whole movie.
A lot of what happens there is some of the best stuff in the movie. That ensemble,
and emotional wise,
is one of the more effective ensembles in terms of the movie overall.
And I would also say out of like the Avengers movies, this is easily easily the most emotional one. It lives up to that hype. When I was looking around, there were people who had really glossy eyes, you know?
Yeah, you definitely feel the stakes, and you definitely feel the hopelessness that begins to arise just as the movie clips further and further along. And that is something distinct that, like, Age of Ultron did not translate, that I think this one does, even though it is so vast in what it's trying to accomplish and all the places you're jumping to. I feel like that's the gift and the curse of Infinity War, is there are so many things happening, and some of them are really great and some of them are really resonant. Not all of them get the time to be as an overall film.
Overall, if you're going in for like the epicness of all these characters coming together on screen, it's awesome. It's badass.
Oh yeah, as an Avengers movie, it's one of the coolest for just the fact that you have so many of the characters, and it's one of those like gift and curse things for the film itself, but like we know them all, so you can skip, I guess theoretically, a certain amount of character moments in favor of these people are about to match up against these people, or we're gonna pair these two off now and see how they get along. So
that's all awesome.
In a very comic book kind of way, I thought this movie succeeded with the Avengers theme overall. But if you want to have really defined Avengers like take the lead, that's not the kind of movie this is.
No, this is not the kind of movie. There are surprises to be had in here. There's some awesome weapon upgrades in here. The fight scenes are great. Thanos is great. The cast all does an amazingly solid job. I really think the last 30 to 40 minutes of this movie is exactly what you show up for. In terms of epicness and action scale and emotional weight, this film delivers on that in the last 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think the Russo brothers have done a good job of crafting something that is epic, that is really well realized, so that any complaints you might have about the way the movie moves or the kind of character details or the amount of attention it gives to certain people, I think they are able to kind of supersede the detrimental sides of those things by making it so crafted and so symmetrical for how much they're trying to do. Even if I don't think this is a perfect movie, I do have to commend and appreciate
absolutely
all the work and all the guidance they put into it, because it does feel like a Marvel epic, on a different scale.
Definitely.
With a scary villain who by the end of it you're like, I don't know.
How do they defeat them? Because the movie has so many characters, some of them are meeting each other for the first time. That's where some of the issues of the film actually come in. The first half hour or the 40 minutes of this lengthy film was a lot of humor and a lot of energy and very fast paced.
A lot of intros and stuff like that rely on that sort of thing.
And I felt like, man, this movie's gonna fly by. This movie's gonna move quick. I ain't gonna feel this length at all. But then there's a chunk in the middle where there's so many different tonal shifts. And that's why I was saying that I think on a second viewing, it could be a very different experience.
Just also in the wake of all this hype, It's always different on the second go with a movie like this.
When there's tonal shifts, sometimes there'd be some readjusting I would have to do personally where I'm logically grasping everything. But there were times where my heart just wasn't in it. There were times where it would kind of drag, and there were times where there were some pacing issues for me. Sometimes it moves way too quick, sometimes it kind of drags with certain character storylines.
Certain scenes will pop up and you'll be like, that was what? Brief?
Yeah.
Brief? Okay.
Sometimes it's a little choppy, and then you kind of have to forgive it because you're like, well, this is that ultimate culmination.
They must have pared it down, and for that, it still looks pretty polished overall.
Yeah.
The pace isn't terrible, it's just you can tell that there was probably more here to begin with.
Black Panther is kind of underutilized.
You're certainly focusing on him a lot when he pops up, but doing less things than when you pop in on most everybody else. Like when everybody else you pop in on, it's for something like enormous is happening.
Yeah.
And when you get to Wakanda, you're just like, oh yeah, let's hang out with Black Panther for a while.
The film is so plotty, it's moving so fast, and most of the conversations in the movie are about how are we going to take down Thanos? That's like 95% of the conversations in this 2.5 hour movie. You don't really get too many character moments, so sometimes some of the performances, other than having humorous moments or getting their personalities to shine, can feel rather like the one note that we know these Avengers characters to be.
Well, it's the easiest emotion to slide in.
And Thanos, I would say, is written really well, and Josh Brolin's performance is done very well. I couldn't help but feel there were certain scenes, specifically with Thanos, where it's like, wow, he looks very real, and then other times where I'm like, he looks very cartoony.
And there are a couple characters like on his
the
squad
Black Order,
that look like you said, out of a video game.
Yeah, there were, especially that big battle in Wakanda.
Yeah, the girl especially with the horns, like I was sitting there going, why did you CG this?
It was borderline Steppenwolf territory. Yeah. Ebony Maw in the movie I thought was a cool character. Out of everyone in the Black Order, I thought he was the coolest one. I mean, he had the most to do, and he had the most unique skill set, so he was easily the most interesting one
He's
out of the
one
whole
who
Black
gets
Order.
a skill set. 'Cause
Yeah.
the rest of them just hit stuff.
Yeah, the rest of them are just fighters who
Like-
seem like they can be taken down pretty easily by the other Avengers, you know? Like, it seemed like it wasn't too much of a challenge. If I were to grade this based off using anyone else's grading scale, I would probably give this like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, or an 8.5 out of 10, or a 4 out of 5 stars, I would say. Maybe even a 4.5. But the thing is, I feel like a second viewing, keep in mind, we just walked out of this movie. Reflecting on it, this does seem like the kind of movie that while I reflect on it, I'm gonna love it even more. Right now, it's still like a lot of absorption. Go watch it. You probably already have tickets.
You got tickets.
Yeah, but just know that we really did enjoy the hell out of it. It was a really good time. Getting like 2 hours of sleep, it was pretty easy to stay awake. So yeah. All right, guys, well, keep a lookout for our spoiler talk of the movie. We're gonna go watch it a second time so we can really absorb it, digest it, and then we'll go into a spoiler review. And who knows, maybe our opinion might change. I feel like it's probably gonna be a more positive, like even more positive inducing the second time around. You guys can subscribe to The Real Rejects, join the Reject Nation, click that notification bell to get notified when a video of ours is up, and you can check us out on Patreon, full-length TV show reactions, weekly Q&As. It's because of the people at Patreon that has allowed us the time and energy to put together more sketches this year than we ever have, actually. I might even do a supercut of all the sketches that have appeared before the reactions and stuff. So thank you guys so much.
Appreciate it.